Welcome to the session titled Innovating SAP the Easy Way, Migrate It to AWS. My name is Derek Ewell, and I have here with me today Harpreet Singh, and we're both solution architects working with AWS, covering SAP solutions. So what we hope to do with you today is spend a bit of time focusing a little bit less on the typical deployment model of SAP solutions on AWS, and look a bit more at how you can innovate further with your SAP deployments by leveraging on services beyond our core infrastructure services. Thank you. So one thing that I'd like to start out with, though, is a little bit of an overview of what this session is and is not about, just so that you have a better idea of if you're in the right place. Okay, so first of all and foremost, this session is not about an introduction to SAP. So if you don't understand what SAP is about yet, we're not going to be able to spend a lot of time on that now. Secondly, it's not designed as an advanced session. So we're not going to do any deep dives into any code. We're not going to talk about any sort of advanced features or whatnot. That will be in other tracks, of course, that are running concurrently with this one. Now, what we are focused on, of course, is trying to talk to you about how you can deploy innovative, flexible SAP workloads on AWS by using a bit more than what you would typically see in an SAP environment, value-added services from AWS. Secondly, we'll also be focusing on more of a technology side, but more introductory level. So this is generally what we refer to as a 200 level session as a result. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, we realize today that, of course, many of our customers come from many different industries and have different requirements around applications and tooling. So as a result, we've set it as our mission to ensure that we can deliver as many different types of solutions on AWS as possible. So that's why today you can see that there's solutions supported on AWS from vendors such as Microsoft, IBM, SAP, Trend Micro, F5, Matillion, Tableau, and also Wowza. And we continue to strive to add to this ecosystem of technology partners to ensure that we can add value to our customers and address their needs. What I'd like to do today instead, though, is to dive a little bit deeper into how you can innovate for your SAP workloads and what we've been doing to develop the ecosystem in that space. So to that end, I'd like to hand it over to Harpreet. So Harpreet, over to you.
Thanks, Derek. So let's start with understanding, how we are collaborating with SAP. So AWS and SAP have a long running partnership. We started working together in 2008 when SAP realized the value of AWS Cloud and started deploying its own internal systems for demo, training purposes. And then in 2011, AWS joined SAP as its global technology partner. Since then, we have been working closely with SAP to certify its product to run on AWS Cloud, and at the same time, ensuring that our EC2 instances are certified for SAP applications as well. Along the way, we have certified AWS native services as well for SAP use case. For example, Amazon Aurora MySQL is certified for Hybris e-commerce. Moving further, we are not just aligned with SAP in terms of the infrastructure, we are also collaborating with them on their cloud offerings as well. So if you see here, SAP runs its major cloud-based offering on AWS today in parts, including SAP SuccessFactors, SAP Concur, SAP Hybris. And in May last year, SAP announced availability of SAP HANA Enterprise Cloud, as well as SAP Cloud Platform based upon Cloud Foundry Edition. So these services are running in parts on AWS Cloud today as well. In addition, so yes, on one hand, we are building strong partnership with SAP to provide our customer certified instances as well as products which are certified by SAP to run on AWS Cloud. At the same time, we are building a strong ecosystem of partners via our AWS partner network, so that these partners can deploy SAP solutions for our customers successfully on AWS Cloud. So we have a special competency called SAP competency as part of our AWS partner network. And there are partners who have attained that competency. For example, Accenture, B&W, DXC, Lemongrass. And then there are some partners who are on the path. They have not yet attained that SAP competency, but we know that they have successfully deployed SAP solutions for our customers on AWS platform. So you see, we are collaborating with SAP not just on certifying our instances, certifying their products to run on AWS cloud, but also building strong ecosystems of partners who can support you on your journey to AWS cloud. In addition, AWS has a special, as part of our ProServe practice, we have SAP people who can help you understand and deploy SAP solutions on AWS as well. So with this, I think, Derek, what this brings value to our customers, maybe you want to highlight some pointers to that?
Sure. Thanks, Harpreet. So we continue listening to the voice of our customers, of course, to understand what they need. And that's why today you can notice that we have over 30 different Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, or EC2, instances available that are certified for production SAP workloads. So with this, we continue to focus, of course, on increasing this ecosystem so that with each new generation of Amazon EC2 instances that are released, you will see better performance and a lower cost of ownership for running this solution, and also helps drive down the cost of running your SAP environment on our platform. It's also because of this that today you can actually scale up to, within a single Amazon EC2 instance, up to 131,000 SAPs and up to 4 terabytes of memory within a single system. Now, along with this, of course, SAP has a different process where they deal with SAP HANA certified instances, what is certified to run as a HANA appliance. And so also from listening to our customers who keep asking for more and more scalability for their HANA workloads, today we already have available a Amazon EC2 instance which can scale up to 4 terabytes of memory, which is certified for use with SAP HANA. Now, this is an interesting story because when you're looking at this instance, the way that you deploy, you provision, and you manage it is in the same way that you do any other Amazon EC2 instance. It can be called up on demand. It can be shut down when you no longer need it, and you're only billed for actual consumption of the resource. Now, we do keep hearing requests from other customers to have even more capacity. So even though our 4 terabyte configuration can handle the majority of the customers that we have out there today, we have focused on adding newer and larger Amazon EC2 instances to our pool of systems. And so that's why we announced last year in 2017 that by the end of 2018, we will have a Amazon EC2 instance that can support up to 16 terabytes of memory within a single physical server. So that will give you quite a bit of scalability. However, even today, if you're looking at, let's say, OLAP type workloads, more like your data warehousing and other scenarios there, which you would see in an SAP platform with deployments like BW for HANA, BW on HANA, some other platforms like that, you can already use a scale-out type of deployment model. Now, scale-out, of course, is a cluster of systems. So in a tested and certified scale-out model, you can scale up to 50 terabytes of memory for your HANA data warehousing scenario. So this is quite a interesting area where you can already have a lot of scalability even today with SAP HANA. And then along with that, we've developed a lot of core innovation within the platform itself, which is sort of a de facto part of any deployment that you do on AWS. So this touches on a few different areas. First of all and foremost, security. Because of the state of our security offerings today, we already have customers such as Capital One who can quite confidently come up on stage and say, I can run more securely on AWS Cloud than I can in my own data center. And many other customers feel the same way. Secondly, around having automated recommendations and tracking of what you've deployed on AWS. So through tools like Trusted Advisor, you can automatically get recommendations on how to optimize your systems based on cost, based on security, and also performance considerations. So that let's say you are running something in a little bit less of a best practices kind of way, this automated recommendation engine will come up and tell you, You can do this, you can save money, you can reduce unutilized capacity. So it adds a lot of efficiency to your environment. Also in terms of resiliency. Now there's several different types of HA and DR models that customers will typically look at on AWS. One, of course, starting from a very cost-effective nature, is our Amazon EC2 based auto recovery. Now auto recovery will detect failing instances and automatically restart them so that your system will stay up as much as possible. Note this adds no extra cost to your solution. So if you want to maintain a very available solution, but the budget or the business criticality is not there, you can easily turn this on for no major cost impact. Secondly, we also, of course, offer backup capabilities. If you're familiar with our Amazon Simple Storage Service, or S3, which is an object-based storage offering, very highly durable, you can also use this as a target for your backups of your database in SAP, or even your snapshots when you're looking at our elastic block storage. All this is stored into S3, and with that, you have a very highly durable storage, multiple copies across different availability zones and data centers in our region. So with that, you can ensure that you don't have any data loss, even if there's a full availability zone outage. Also, a very highly resilient solution where you can cluster across availability zones, effectively the equivalent of clustering across different data centers. So once again, if you have a full outage of a full data center or availability zone in the AWS context, you can automatically recover and continue operating without any significant impact on your end users. And then for customers who have need of extreme levels of availability and resiliency, you can even replicate your data to an entirely different region. So let's say something significant happens in Singapore, you can then have your data available in Sydney or Tokyo or some other location where we have an AWS region. And that also goes on to my next point about how you can increase the performance of your solution by putting your applications close to where your end users are working. So by leveraging on our global network of regions, that means that anywhere in the world, without negotiating separate contracts with different suppliers, without having to worry about different regulatory requirements per se, I can easily deploy my workload from the same location that I'm sitting at to anywhere in the world and have my users see a fantastic performance improvement as a result. Now, we've talked a bit about the core platform offerings, things that you can get by default when you deploy SAP on AWS. What we like to do is dig a little bit more, though, into the innovation capability, what some customers are doing by leveraging on extra features in AWS. And to that end, I'd like to hand it over to Harpreet to take us through that. There you go.
Sure, thanks. So till now, we have been talking about what customers can do with AWS core services, right? So we provide EC2 instances, EBS, our networking capabilities for customers to deploy SAP solutions on AWS. So they can deploy definitely SAP ERP systems, their digital suite of products, analytics components like Business Object, BobJBI, as well as the databases from SAP like HANA, ASE, and so on. But customers today are doing much more than running SAP solutions or on AWS. They are using our automation capabilities. They are running data warehouses using Amazon Redshift along with their SAP applications. So customers are no longer just restricted to deploying their EC2 instances or their SAP applications on AWS. They are doing much more innovations along with their SAP applications on AWS platform. So let's dive deep and understand some of these scenarios. So first, AWS provides you capability to fasten your deployment cycles. You can implement your solutions at a faster pace. You can automate your operational tasks. There are various services that we provide for to automate and implement at a faster pace. For example, AWS CloudFormation gives you the capability to treat your infrastructure as code. We have services like AWS OpsWorks for Chef, AWS OpsWorks for Puppet, various AWS SDKs, as well as CLI, using which you can automate not just your implementation tasks, but your operational tasks as well. And I'll share some example later, and I'll give you a demonstration on how customers are refreshing their systems with AWS step functions. So we have SAP HANA Quickstart, which is available for quite some time now, and customers can build a production-grade SAP HANA instance on AWS in under 40 minutes. This Quickstart not just deploys SAP HANA, but builds the underlying infrastructure as well. For example, creation of your VPC, various subnets in that VPC, creation of security groups, and so on. And then last year, towards the end of last year, we released SAP NetWeaver Quickstart, which takes HANA Quickstart to the next step. Now customers can not only just deploy at SAP HANA, they can create complete SAP NetWeaver ABAP suite in under 2 hours on AWS platform. So this Quickstart deploys SAP HANA. First, it builds the underlying infrastructure of VPC subnets, installs SAP HANA, and then installs SAP NetWeaver stack as well. Now on the migration side, as you know, for SAP migration, there are mainly two scenarios: homogeneous migration or heterogeneous migration. So if you are running currently in your virtualized on-premise in a virtualized environment like VM vSphere or Microsoft Hyper-V, you can use AWS Server Migration Service to migrate your servers, SAP applications on AWS incrementally. It does not require any downtime. The migration happens when your servers are still being accessed by your users. It replicates your servers to AWS side, and only during the last delta migration you need to stop your application. So it reduces your downtime significantly, and even your homogeneous migrations are made much simpler. Moving further, yes, there are customers who are moving from AnyDB to HANA. So how do we help in that scenario? So if the customers are moving from AnyDB to SAP HANA or SAP ASC, they can use Rapid Deployment Test Program. So this is a program which SAP developed in collaboration with SAP. What this program is? It consists of set of procedure, processes, and tools to migrate from AnyDB to SAP HANA or SAP ASC on AWS Cloud. And for this to be done, SAP has announced their database migration option, which is part of their SAP Update Manager. And this new functionality is called DMO with System Move. So DMO with System Move gives you the capability to do Unicode conversion, upgrade, as well as migration to SAP HANA or SAP ASC in one single step, reducing your downtime required for migration as well as complexity significantly. Our customers, Zappos, for example, have used the same program to migrate their SAP ECC system running on Oracle to Suite on HANA on AWS in under 29 hours. Then there are customers who are doing much more with their ECC systems or ERP systems on AWS today. GE, for example, has moved millions of records from their ECC system to Amazon Redshift with tools like Matillion. And they have built their analytics solutions on AWS with Tableau. So you see, customers are not just doing SAP application deployment, but they are integrating them with other AWS services as well to make a better use of them. So with this, Derek, I think we have our customer as well. So let's invite them on stage and have a discussion how they are successful in deploying their SAP solutions on AWS.
Certainly, thank you. So yeah, we have ZALORA, who recently did a SAP S4 HANA deployment onto AWS. So today we have Raymond Leong here, who is the Director of Enterprise Technology from ZALORA. And we'd like to talk to him a little bit about some of their experiences on deploying on AWS and what were their thoughts and outcomes from that. So Raymond, can you join us on stage? Hey,
Thank you,
Raymond.
Derek.
Hi, thanks for coming. Okay, fantastic. So ZALORA is, so tell me a little bit about what is ZALORA and why did you decide to go all in on AWS?
Okay. ZALORA is a Southeast Asia's largest online fashion e-retailer operating in 8 countries with over 40 million visits monthly. We have grown to this size in only 6 years, and as we are growing, we needed a more flexible platform that can provide reliable service whenever we need it and without too much upfront investment. We started early experiments with Redshift and gradually built strong DevOps capabilities within the organizations. We gained confidence over time on AWS platform and finally decided to move everything to AWS Cloud in March 2016. There were many reasons why we decided to go all in, including reliability of AWS Cloud, flexibility in scaling up and down whenever we need it, in-house knowledge on AWS, and definitely better pricing.
Okay, fantastic. We're glad we're able to add a lot of value to you in that space. Now, can you tell me a little bit about your SAP S/4HANA deployment on AWS? And given your all-in experience, was it a natural choice to deploy this on AWS?
With SAP, we were modernizing our retail business, and this was one of our major IT initiatives in the past couple of years. So we wanted to make sure that we do the right things right from the start. We spent over 3 months evaluating multiple options, eventually shortlisting 5 options, including on-premise, SAP Premium Partner, as well as private cloud. Eventually, we decided to deploy on AWS Cloud for a number of reasons, cost and flexibility being the key factor. Other platforms were requiring us to sign at least 3-year contracts with yearly upfront payments. But while with AWS, we were paying on an hourly basis for what we have used. We started with the smaller certified HANA Amazon EC2 instance type, and we shut down our non-production SAP instances whenever we do not need to use them. We also automated our operation tasks, such as backups, SAP System Refresh on AWS.
Okay.
The experience with AWS platform has been awesome.
Fantastic. I'm glad it was a good experience for you. So can you tell us a bit about the scope of your SAP and AWS project?
Okay. We implemented the full SAP retail functionality with SAP S/4HANA, running on a 16.10 version and using SAP Fiori, process orchestrations, as well as single sign-on. We roll out in 8 different countries and implemented more than 30 interfaces to meet our business objectives. The project was started in May 2017, and we went live in January 2018. When we started the project, there were concerns internally and externally on whether we can meet the timeline. Thanks to the internal team, where we allocate 20% of the tech team, and also to our SAP implementation partner IBM, where they have 5 to 10 consultants on site at any point of time. We managed to deliver the project on time, within budget, and within scope.
Okay, fantastic. So then, of course, we spoke to you about the AWS SAP HANA Quickstart packaging. So were you able to take advantage of that for any of your deployment?
Absolutely. So we were introduced to SAP HANA Quickstart by AWS Solution architects during our initial discussion while we were still evaluating our options. While it was not a surprise that you can provision infrastructure on demand on AWS, but knowing that you can build SAP HANA on AWS in under 45 minutes was a different experience altogether. Other platforms were asking for a minimum of a week time to provision their environment, while in AWS we do it in 45 minutes. We use SAP HANA Quickstart for all our SAP HANA installations across our landscape.
Fantastic. Yeah, we definitely have a goal to make automation easy and easy to deliver on AWS. Now, you spoke a little bit earlier about some of the innovations that you achieved on AWS when you were deploying your SAP solution. Could you dive in a little bit deeper on what some of those were?
We wanted to configure our landscape with high availability, especially our core components such as SAP S4 HANA. AWS actually presented various architecture and also a native high availability solution for application layer using AWS services. Due to business requirements, we decided to go with high availability on database layer initially. We also implemented SAP System Refresh automation using AWS step functions to meet our business objectives. Our non-production SAP instance was also scheduled to shut down after office hours and during the weekends, and automatically restart using bot metric.
Fantastic. We're glad you're able to take advantage of these additional features on AWS. Now, you also had some time from solution architects from AWS going through a well-architected review with you, covering various aspects of both your AWS and some parts of your SAP environment. So how was that experience?
The well-architected review from AWS gives us the opportunity to reflect on what we have done and how we can actually improve on certain aspects of the deployment. This is an excellent value addition from AWS, as sometimes when in a hurry to get things done, you might miss certain steps. And this could have the potential to create big issues in future. We are in the process of acting on the recommendations as we believe that they will help us in our day-to-day operations, and they will reduce the cost of our operations as well.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so then also, of course, the AWS team that you're dealing with, you dealt with a number of different people such as solution architects, enterprise support, sales, and also with our technical account managers. So how was your experience dealing with these different resources from AWS?
Wonderful experience. The AWS team has been with us at every stage of the deployment and supported us at every steps of the journey. The solution architect helped us to understand the various possible architectures and also suggested architectures and products such as SUSE Linux Enterprise Server that for SAP applications. The enterprise support replies to our queries promptly. The technical account manager is our trusted advisor and propose recommendations for our considerations.
Okay, great, fantastic. So Raymond, thanks so much for spending time with us on stage and talking through your journey of deploying S4 HANA on AWS. We appreciate your time and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, Derek. This has been a positive experience, and we are glad that we go with AWS.
Fantastic. Thanks,
Thank
Raymond.
you.
Thanks, Raymond.
Thanks.
Okay, so Raymond also called out one particular type of innovation that he leveraged on, which was around automating a commonly done operational task in an SAP environment. So I'd like to hand it over to Harpreet to walk through how that looks and how you can leverage on it also.
Thanks,
Harpreet?
Eric. So before I start explaining what SAP System Refresh with AWS step function is, by show of hands, how many of you here know what SAP System Refresh actually is? Okay, so there are quite a few.
Okay.
So for those who don't know what SAP System Refresh is, maybe let me give you a quick introduction on what it is, what it means in an SAP landscape. So any SAP customer generally has 3 systems in the landscape. Of course, some have more than 3, but in a general practice, there are 3 systems in any SAP product landscape, which is development system, quality assurance, and production, of course. So quality assurance system is the one which is used for many purposes. It's used for your integration test, it's used for training, it's used for user acceptance test, and so on. So what happens is, over a period of time, the data quality in QA system, quality assurance system, goes for a toss, right? Because you have done a lot of testing in that data, and over a period of time, you cannot rely the data quality of your QA system, to confirm that integration test will work. So what customers generally do is they refresh their production data, their QA system from the production data, right? So that's the general practice, and the way to do it is, of course, one is manual and other is some level of automation. So manual is, of course, very tedious task. It does require quite a lot of manual steps. And then automation, there are tools available from SAP like SAP Llama, and Llama is basically landscape management. And then there are other tools from third-party providers that can be used to automate it, right? But of course, those tools comes at their additional cost as well as licensing requirement, and of course, you need some infrastructure to deploy them as well. So let's look at some of the challenges before I describe what AWS Solution of System Refresh is. So manual procedure, the challenges are, as I said, it's very time consuming. It takes days to week depending upon how large your system is, how complex your landscape is, and so on. And because there are a lot of manual steps, so there are always some different issues that you will get whenever you refresh it, because somebody will miss some steps, or they will do configure, execute those steps in a different sequence. So which creates risk for your production systems, because you are refreshing your QA system from production data, which means if these steps are not performed correctly, once you start your system, it will start interacting with your production systems, right? Which is a big risk to your production systems. So and of course, the target system is not available for the duration of refresh, because you have taken out that system from the users for the duration of refresh, which impacts your user productivity as well, right? Your functional team cannot do anything because the system is being taken by the technical team for refresh purposes, right? So what is AWS Solution? So it's based upon AWS Lambda, AWS Step Functions, and EC2 System Managers. It's completely serverless solution. So let's take a look at what these services are. So AWS Lambda is a serverless service that allows you to execute your code without provisioning any infrastructure. So you just provide your code and then it runs magically somewhere. And then AWS Step Function. So AWS Step Function is the orchestration layer, which basically coordinates the execution of these various different lambdas and provides you a consistent outcome. EC2 System Manager helps you automate your operational tasks. So these are the three main core services that are used for this solution. And if you look at the architecture, that's how it looks like. So the trigger is done via some administrator on AWS Step Functions. And once that trigger is done, AWS Step Function orchestrates the complete execution of system refresh. So after the initial trigger has been done, everything else is executed via AWS Lambda functions. So Lambda function in turn coordinates the task execution with various services like Amazon DynamoDB. What's the purpose of DynamoDB? I will explain in a later when I will give you a demonstration of this functionality. And then of course EC2 System Manager, which actually executes your required command on EC2 systems. So let's dive straight in, and I'll demonstrate on the laptop now and log into the AWS console to show you how it works. So here you see this is AWS Step Functions, which is basically a state machine and has already been built. How it looks like, it is essentially a JSON command, basically JSON command, various blocks of JSON formats, which you can visualize it and then execute it. So if you see the visualization part of it, so that JSON code that I have shown you just now, that's how it looks like. So there are various steps. So these steps are executed from start to end once the trigger has been, once you trigger the execution of step functions. So initialize DynamoDB, if you look at the first step, so that basically creates a small table in our DynamoDB service, and this table is used to basically track the status of each of these steps. So if for whatever reason the execution fails at a specific step, then when you re-trigger it, it will start from the step where it failed. So DynamoDB table is essentially being used just to track the status, nothing more than that. So it's a very small table that's get created at the start of the execution. And then it follows the execution path, and the way it works is it creates a copy of your existing QA and performs all those steps, all your refresh steps on that cloned copy, so that your QA environment is still available for your users and they can continue to do their day-to-day tasks. So they are not impacted while you are building this new QA environment. And once refresh has been completed, you can replace your existing QA environment with this cloned environment. So in a way, it helps you, number one, automate your, the system refresh completely, and second, it is improving your user productivity as well, because there is no impact to the functional teams, and they can continue to do their day-to-day task. One of the major, before you trigger the step, is setting up the parameters. So these parameters are essentially control the execution of the steps. For example, we need to know which machine you want to, or which EC2 instance you want to refresh. So these all details are stored in EC2 parameter store. So before the execution start, you have to set these parameters, which are, let's say, if you look at the first parameter is host name. What is my host name? What is the instance type that you clone? Because it will create a clone of your existing QA environment. So you need to know what size of the instance that you want that will be cloned, and so on. And then other parameter like what will be the IP address that you want to have for your clone instance, and some SAP details like SAP system number, SAP SID, and some passwords to log in to the system for the execution tasks. It even executes BDLS for those who know what BDLS is. It's essentially converts the logical system from your production logical system name to your QA logical system name. So how it executes? Before I execute, let me show you my console. So I have only one instance right now, which is just my Bastion host and RDP instance. So there is nothing existing. So I've already created an AMI which is staged, and then let's trigger and see what happens. So from the execution perspective, I go to the state machine and just click this new execution. This is just a command, so you can leave whatever you want to execute and trigger start execution. That's pretty much it. And from this point onward, the state machine will execute. It understands which QA environment it has to clone based upon the parameters that are already staged, and then it executes from start to end. And when it finishes, it sends an SMS, because that's also configured. If you would have realized earlier, we had that SNS service. So that triggers an SMS, an email that QA refresh is complete and the system is ready for your usage. So you see, it has started execution, and there are certain steps which will execute in parallel, and then some certain steps which will execute sequentially. So the steps that have executed successfully are marked as green. The one which have cancelled will be gray, and the one which are not yet executed are in white. So now it has initialized the DynamoDB table, set up an SNS. Now it is creating temporary security groups, because we are creating a clone of your QA environment, so it has to maintain some level of isolation, right? So it will continue to execute. It takes around 3 hours, so I don't want you guys to keep on listening to me for next 3 hours while it completes. So from here, I'll hand it over to Derek, and if you need some more information about the solution, we will be around. We can talk about that. So Derek.
Great. Thanks, Harpreet. Okay, so from this, of course, we hope that you've gotten a good understanding of how you can also leverage on innovation in AWS to help create extra value for your SAP solutions. We've gone through a few different areas. As you understand, of course, we spoke a bit about some of the things that customers are doing on AWS to drive their innovation storyline. You heard a bit from ZALORA, from Raymond, who came up on stage to talk to us about what they did on AWS to innovate for their SAP deployment using S4 HANA. And then finally, of course, you got a view of how the system refresh automation actually works through Harpreet's demonstration just now. So we hope that you found this session useful. And definitely, if you have any follow-up questions or need additional information, you can contact any of the names up here. Harpreet and myself, of course, are up on stage. David is in the audience, I believe, also, and he can also be of assistance. Note down the email addresses also. And if anything, of course, we hope that you get in touch with us and ask for more information on this. Otherwise, we hope you've enjoyed this session today. Don't forget to fill out your feedback forms and let us know what you liked most, or if there's any areas of improvement for us, definitely note that down also. And with that, thank you for everyone, and that's the end of our session.
Thank you very much.